Okay. Let's try this again, shall we? Okay, I'm going to see, I'm going to accept. Why is this? Hit this. Huzzah! Yay! Hello.
Hi, how are you?
That was really giving me a little bit of anxiety because I have to tell you, I don't know about I usually don't go all like nervous about Mercury retrograde. But the technology just has not been doing its thing for us the past couple of days. So I was a little bit nervous.
Well, I'm here now. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Well, welcome. So my name is Dina. I'm co-owner of the Apothecary.
Hi.
And so excited to have you on the chat today, talking about the signs and the signs in love. Yay. I really enjoyed this. So welcome in everybody to our live over the next, I don't know how even long we decide to schedule for, but 45 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. We're going to talk about and deep dive into the signs and the signs in love. So I have some questions and some points of conversation that we decided that we were going to chat about, but obviously also to open it up to you all to ask your pressing questions. And then we're going to be giving away a copy of the book as well as some love themed crystals to some lucky watcher here. And if we have a wonderful person that wins overseas, we'll even ship it overseas to you guys as well, because I know we're going to have some non-United States people watching. So I want to be fair to everybody and not limit it to just within the United States, because we're not all here, obviously. So before we get started, can you please share with me, because I have a very heavy accent, and in America your name can be, and I don't know how it works other places, your name can be pronounced Carolyne.
Sorry about the sirens. I'm in London. Okay. What can you do?
That's okay. And there goes my dog. So we're here. She might have heard your sirens.
Yeah.
Hey babe, Ruby. It's great. Can you just, because in America, you can pronounce your name two ways.
Yes, it's Caroline.
Carolyne.
Yes.
Okay. That's how I typically pronounce your name, but I just wanted to check because my name is butchered as well. People call me Dina, but I've also gotten Dinah. So
yeah, it's Caroline. It's just with a Y, yes. But you know, you can call me Caroline. I've been called worse.
That's my line. I say the same thing. So Danielle, who is the other corner of the shop, just popped in and said hello under
Hi.
Instagram. So we're all here.
Thank you for stocking my books.
Yes, no, we're so happy to have your books in our dedicated bookshop, the Athenaeum. Danielle actually teaches a weekly astrology class, beginner astrology, every single Sunday for free here on Instagram at 4:30. So we love astrology, and working with astrology is an important part of the different, either, do I want to call it metaphysics? No, I want to call it personal development that we work with at our apothecary. Yeah. So I want to first ask you to introduce yourself, dynamic astrology a little bit. You know, astrology is such a wide field. Everybody has different sort of ways they approach it. So if you could just share with us your approach and what people can expect to learn from your two books. Sure. I think starting there would be great.
Sure. So, well, first of all, my name is Carolyne Faulkner. I've been practicing astrology since 2006, and it just really transformed my life. So I became obsessed with showing people how to do it for themselves. And dynamic astrology, I don't believe that anything is fixed, or I believe in destiny and fate in that respect, but I don't believe that anything is fixed. I believe that once you get to know your chart, you can actually change things and make it work for you, rather than it sort of taking over and running the show. I always liken everyone is born with a snapshot of the stars when they're born. It's like a cosmic selfie, and that's your horoscope or your natal birth chart. We all know our star sign, but it's not particularly smart just to band the whole world into 12 signs of the zodiac and expect them to be the same kinds of people experiencing the same kind of things at the same time. So I decided that I was going to decode it and make it really simple. That's my first book, The Signs. I always liken astrology to kind of like a car that you're driving, and the mind or the soul is the consciousness that's driving that car. So when you get to know how to drive the car properly, we can stop making such grave mistakes and enjoy life a lot more and bring more love into our lives. So my second book, it was basically inspired by I just wanted to bring more love into the world. And I know it probably sounds a little twee, but I started writing The Signs in Love when I was the first day of lockdown. And I knew that that was going to be a crazy time, because the same planets aligned in a similar way to the way that they did at the beginning of the 1960s, which was obviously a really revolutionary time, but it was also very traumatic for people. So I started writing it the first day of lockdown, and I was speaking to my godmother, my Taurus godmother, and I said to her, all these people, they're stockpiling. We had pictures of old people in our supermarkets, and there were empty shelves, and they were nearly crying. There were nurses going on YouTube pleading with people to stop stockpiling fresh vegetables. And I just thought, what's the solution? And we just sort of decided together that the solution was more love. So if we could be love then, and be more loving, then we could just create the shift that we needed to see in the world. So that's where the sort of motivation for The Signs in Love came from. In a nutshell, I tend to waffle, so just go like this, time out.
No, that's actually really beautiful, because that's something that I noticed right away when I started reading your book, is that the cover and the name, The Signs in Love, you automatically go to romantic love. And what I want people to sort of understand is that while romantic love is something that we all want to be seen, right, and valued and appreciated by another, either friendship or romantically, it's also right, about friendship love, but it's also about loving yourself and becoming the most evolved version of yourself that
exactly,
you can be. And
exactly.
And so it's a wonderful way to go through and do a lot of personal healing. And so I was just really very inspired by it. So I wanted to say that for those of you that are watching that haven't read this book yet, and if you think, well, this is not applicable to me because I've been married for 20 years and everything is great, it's not that. There's so much you can learn here about yourself, I think.
Yeah, and also the different realms of love, Dina. Right. It's because there's so many different manifestations of love. There's romantic love. What you want to do is turn romantic love into enduring love. And there's compassionate love. The compassionate love is the kind of love that we have for our children or our animals. And then there's sort of passionate love. And they all come into different realms of different signs, and relationships can start in different ways. They usually start with passionate love, then romantic love, and then what we want to do is turn it into enduring love and reach nirvana with our partner. Because most of the time when we get into relationships with people, we've been in relationships with them for many lifetimes before, and there are certain lessons that we need to learn from this. So I don't like when people say, oh, what sign is best matched to me? Well, I don't mind if people ask me those questions, and I would say, okay, well, this sign is good for you, or that sign is going to be a little bit more challenging. But we're here on the planet to progress our soul, to elevate our consciousness. So any relationship that we have, whether it be good, bad, or downright ugly, is actually going to be really good for us in the long run, as long as we can extract the lessons and sort of extract the harsh lessons for the teachers that they are.
Right. It's interesting. I'm not a Course in Miracles person. Like, I understand it, but I haven't been through a Course in Miracles. But I bring it up because I've heard other authors describe every single relationship as a holy teacher, which is what I think
Sure.
really you're describing. And also, let's be real. You know, passionate love is wonderful, and but as we age and as we grow and as we mature and as we change and go through different phases in our lives, the love has to change, grow, and evolve as well, because we're in
Exactly.
different seasons in our lives where that type of sort of passionate, hot and sweaty love, maybe, listen, God bless if when you're 95, you could still be doing that. But, you know, I mean, modern medicine is a marvel, but, you know, we want to have still that beautiful, loving connection. And so I think your point is so well taken about all those different types of love, of
Exactly.
reaching that nirvana.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And unconditional love. You see, when real love is unconditional and it's freeing, it doesn't want to possess. So it's almost like if you're in a situation with your loved one or your significant other and you're not in a place of unconditional love, then that's not true love. And I'm sorry if I offend anyone here, but you have to get to a place where the love is absolutely unconditional and you love them not just because of the way they make you feel, or you love them not because of what they do for you, but you love them unconditionally. And sometimes, you know, that can be really difficult. It's challenging. That's like the way of the Bodhisattva. That's like the enlightened ones. But ultimately, that's where we want to get to. We want to get to the state where we love someone unconditionally. I mean, we love our children and our animals unconditionally, really, you know,
right.
But we have to get to the point where we're not so attached to what someone else can do for us. We have to get to the place where we're loving them unconditionally, irrespective of I'm not saying to allow someone to treat you badly. That's another thing. Unconditional love doesn't allow people to misbehave in that way, but it just loves them unconditionally. You still love them despite of their behavior. Sometimes it can be from a distance.
Right. I think that's really an interesting perspective, because a lot of times when we're talking about, you know, unconditional love and loving somebody, that doesn't mean not to have boundaries and allow people to mistreat you.
No, exactly. So, when you're on a spiritual path, allowing people to mistreat you is actually really wrong, because you're not helping them. You know, and being a doormat is not someone who's on an authentic spiritual path, because what you have to do is actually stand up for yourself and say to someone, because when they misbehave, it's really bad karma for them.
Right.
So it's to say, hey, you know what? I know you don't mean it necessarily, but when you speak to me like that, it makes me feel like shit. Or when you do this, it's not good for you and it's not good for me. So let's talk about this. Let's work through this. So the reflections in the book are meant to help every single sign in order to evolve into the kind of enduring love that we all want, you know?
Right. So that's interesting, because it sort of piggybacks into one of the questions we got from Danielle about using the book to help people understand the relationships in their lives. So in this book, you go through sort of sign to sign matches, but you don't have to just go against your sun sign. You can use it. So for example, I have an amazing star in Capricorn to Capricorn, because my husband is a Capricorn sun and I'm a Capricorn rising.
Amazing. And I say that in there, that the most successful couples I know, one of them have got like the sun in exactly Capricorn and the other person has Capricorn rising. So that's why when people say to me, what's my best sign? I'm kind of like, it's better to go a little bit deeper if you can. And I've tried to make it as simple as that in the book, but you're absolutely right. Say if someone has, you know, Saturn in Aquarius, if someone else has the sun in Aquarius, then that's a Saturn to sun connection. Right. And I also write in there what the different connections are. Yes. But I try to keep things as simple as possible. I think that's best.
Yes, I think, and it's so funny, because so my Danielle, new Danny 2015, my business partner, she and I have the same birthday, day, month, and year.
Wow.
She's just, I know it's wild, right? So she's just
great.
A few hours older than me. So her rising is in Sagittarius and my rising is in Capricorn. But for me, the language of astrology, especially when we get into the houses and what the houses mean, my brain just doesn't, for my brain, it just doesn't easily come into my brain
But
like
check it
something
out,
or
Dina. Let me break it down for
yeah.
you, right? In astrology, everything always goes in threes. So imagine years ago, many, many, many moons ago, there were areas in the sky that were mapped out and they don't move, and they're the houses. And the houses, right, represent that they are basically where is that in someone's chart? So the first house is the house of self. So if you've got the sun in there, the planet represents what does that mean for Dina? The sign represents how does that play out? How does that manifest for Dina? And the house is where does that manifest for Dina? See, so it's what, where, how, and that's in the signs.
Wow. That's amazing. I think because natal charts, when you look at them also, you'll see the chart and the angles and everything. If you're a little bit math phobic, it might look intimidating, but I found that your book really does break it down in a way that's so relatable. And more so, again, not just romantic love, to Danielle's point, family, children, spouses, friends, anything.
Colleagues.
But then
you might not love your colleagues, but at the end of the day, it's still good to understand how the dynamics work, and that's what the book does. It shows how dynamics work between signs. So it's like this. I think on the front of the book it says an interactive cosmic roadmap to finding love that lasts. I think that tagline is not quite right for actually what the book is. It should be for all your love matches.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think so too. And that's why I wanted to let people know.
That's a good point.
If I don't want people to think that because they're in a long-standing relationship,
exactly,
that
the book's not for them. Yeah.
It's amazing. And I even like your insight into the different types of love and the realms of love, and how maybe you could discuss those, the different sort of fire, earth, air, and water, the different types of love of each of those signs, I found to be very intriguing.
That's really interesting. So first of all, what I did was banded all of the elements, so that we have, the fire signs, water signs, earth signs, and air signs. And so, for instance, passionate love is usually fire signs, because fire signs, when they fall in love, that's Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. When they fall in love, they usually fall in love ardently and passionately. So I banded passionate love into under the fire signs, and then said how they actually love. And then for air signs, that's unconditional. A lot of the time, so Libra is a little different. They love a little bit differently to Gemini and Aquarius, but Gemini and Aquarius they can be very detached when they're in relationship. So it's almost like they love, but it's a detached love, and it's not necessarily cold. It's just that it's from a non-attached perspective. So I just said non-attachment is actually a form of unconditional love, because it's not trying to possess someone. Right. So that's where I was sort of going with that.
Right. I actually underlined that. Air signs working within their flow are the least possessive of the signs. They value independence and freedom, which doesn't equate to being unfaithful. It just means they don't like to feel trapped by someone else's concept of how they ought to be. I loved that.
Yeah. But the thing is that we all have a sprinkling of each of the signs in our charts. So it's like, just because you're a Leo, or I say Cancerian, whatever, just because you're a Leo or a Cancerian doesn't necessarily mean that you can't love from an air sign's perspective with that non sort of attachment, because you could have Venus in an air sign. Right. So it's like, it's quite important to learn how to I wrote my own software program. It's on dynamic astrology. There is a free version that you can use. It's specifically for that, and what I try to do is take all the lines out, because it can sometimes make things complicated, but it's good for you to get to know, I call it the magic three, and then everyone started calling it the big three. I mean, it doesn't matter, but the magic three is basically your sun sign, your rising sign, and you guys are really lucky in the States, because you have your times of birth on your birth certificate, whereas we have to rely on our parents remembering. Like my father remembered it was last orders at the pub. Do you know what I mean? So we have to like
Right.
figure out from, you know, some memory what kind of time we were born, whereas you guys have it written on your birth certificate. So it's perfect for astrology. So the
Right.
rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign. Your sun sign is your ego when it's not working so well, although we all need an ego. It's also your self-identity and the area where you will shine in life depending on the sign it's in, right? And then the moon is basically all about your emotions and your emotional well-being. It also indicates negative past life tendencies that we have to overcome in this life. So I have the moon in Capricorn, so I was probably like, I don't know, Genghis Khan. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, my
It's
daughter
like,
also has a moon in Capricorn, so that's pretty funny.
it's like, I mean, but moon in Capricorn, they get things done, but they can sometimes be very sort of authoritarian. And that's like something that we have to overcome. And because I'm Aquarius, I have to work for humanity and serve humanity. So as long as my motivation is good, but Capricorns are amazing at getting things done, but they can sometimes be a little authoritarian and a bit bossy. That's the sign that they share that a little bit with Leo. I always say that there's two kinds of Leos. One Leo is very noble and quiet, and sometimes they're quite shy, but they're very noble beasts, you know, the lion, king of the jungle. And then the other kind of Leo is very sort of bossy and always right, and loves to be the center of attention. You better get out of the way when they need the spotlight.
Yeah.
I'm just being funny here. I'm not meaning to offend
I agree
anyone.
with you.
Moon in Capricorn, there's a moon in Capricorn.
Listen, as somebody who has a Leo moon and a Cap rising, that's pretty so going back to the forms of love, Alex, as a Scorpio, asked for us to go back and talk about the water signs as you have the nourishing love.
Okay, so basically, the water signs, that's Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. I say Sansa, I prefer Sansa. But a Pisces, Sansa, Scorpio, so that's nourishing love. So basically, this kind of love is that it's the kind of, they love in a way that's very nourishing and they need nourishment back. So it's like Scorpio is looking for a soulmate union. They're looking for something really deep and really intense. Cancerian is looking to return home in a way, and Pisceans are longing to be one with everyone in the universe, so they're also looking for like that twin flame soulmate connection. But water signs in general, the way they love is it's a very nourishing. They need to be nourished, and they nourish in return, and they give. The only problem is that they must give without expectation, because when you give with an expectation, if your needs and requirements and expectations are not met, then it can sometimes make you feel very disappointed, and then it becomes more transactional. So water signs, if you're giving and you're nourishing and you're doing all those wonderful things that water signs do, it's very important to do it without expectation, because otherwise it becomes more transactional, and that's the reason why you get drained. And Cancerians, one of their favorite sayings, this is when they're not so super evolved, is basically, oh, I'm too kind. And actually, there's no such thing as being too kind, because if you're too kind or you feel people are taking advantage of you, it's because you're giving with an expectation, or you're needing something back in return, and that drains our energy.
Oh my goodness. So I love this because personally, and those of you that know me know, my son and my husband are both Cancer moons.
That's Sansa moon is absolutely beautiful when it works well. When it doesn't work so well, it's like there's nothing that you can do that's good enough. It's almost like, and they're so changeable, because obviously the moon is always changing signs, and the moon is their ruling planet. So moon in Cancer, it's like, and as long as they're even, I mean, moon in Cancer people remember things just like Scorpio people do. They remember, like they remember things from when they were like 3 years old. But she had one more Easter egg than me, and I still remember it. Or you took my stereo off me. You know things like that. Because I wanted to replace it and give you a better one, but I love that stereo. But you were 4 years old. Right. That's moon in Cancer. They hold on to things, like Scorpio too.
Yes, absolutely. They really do. My son can remember every single thing that happened, every single wrong that's ever been wronged in his 13 years on Earth. He has in a data bank somewhere.
You know, Dina, when he gets to like 30, then he'll appreciate you. Until then, it's a thankless task, I'm afraid.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so let's talk about earth signs and enduring love, because that's the
Okay,
last one.
sure thing. So earth sign is Capricorn, Virgo and Taurus. And basically, I'm not just saying that, you know, these signs, if you've got planets in this, we all have Earth in our chart somewhere. There's no such thing. I want to say this and put this out there. There's no such thing as not having one of the elements in your chart. You've got it somewhere. Absolutely. So some people say, oh, I have no air in my chart. And I'm always saying, well, actually, that's not true. But anyway, moving on. So enduring love, when you earth signs, basically, when they invest in something, it's for the long term. They build things slowly, surely, steadily. Capricorns, when they get married, they usually want to get married for life.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, to them, they don't want failure. They don't want to, they don't particularly, they would see a failed marriage as failure. And it's not, maybe it's just run its course, whatever, these things happen. But they build things steadily and slowly, one step at a time. And also, that kind of love is enduring because it switches from passionate romantic love. I'm not saying romantic love always dies, but statistically speaking, passionate love will last about 18 months unless you're extremely lucky, and then it turns into the more earthy type. So it's grounded and you're building on something. You're building a life together for life.
Right. Right. That's beautiful. So it's so funny. I knew Danielle was going to say that she lacks earth because in her natal chart, she really doesn't have any planet in earth.
But she would have stuff in her second house, which is earth.
Ah.
She would have, the second house is actually ruled by Taurus. Yeah.
Interesting.
So she would have stuff in her second house. 10th house is also an earth house. Okay. You know, and yeah, and also, for example, Venus is actually an earthy planet, even though it's like smoldering hot, like literally. It's basically because because Venus rules Taurus as well as Libra, so that's an earthy planet. And another earthy planet, so Mars is fire,
right?
Do you understand where I'm going with this? I'm just drinking.
I get it.
It's not beer, it's water, just so you know.
No,
I'm not drinking on the job.
Same. Yes.
There you go.
Perfect. Yeah, I totally, it's really interesting. This is actually a very interesting and different perspective because this is one that I've never heard personally an astrologer sort of go into about the fact that even if, say, for example, you don't have a planet in a sign, that you still have that elemental component, just
exactly
vis-a-vis the houses.
Exactly. That I've spent most of my career trying to bust myths and undo things that people have fixated in their minds.
Interesting. That's another part, but that's another part of what's so wonderful about this book, that if people haven't sort of dug into it yet, a wonderful invitation is that it's incredibly self-reflective, and there are many, many journal prompts and questions that you can go through and ask yourself. Exactly. And so a lot of this, it's funny that you said I've spent my career trying to bust these myths, because it seems like a lot of the questions and a lot of the process that you're attempting to take the reader through is for them to bust their own personal myths about love and about
misconceptions and their own perceptions about their own relationships, and also about maybe themselves. You know, I think Scorpio and Virgo get probably the worst press, but you know, some of my closest friends are Scorpio and also Virgo, and I would say that they're the most amazing, some of the most amazing people on the planet, but they get bad public relations. But I just want to say something else. If there's anyone listening in, please support your local bookstores, and please, you know, go and buy your crystals and all stuff from local shops, because even if you do buy them online, you're going to save a couple of pounds or dollars, but we're going to lose our stores, and you don't want that to happen. So, I mean, it doesn't make any difference to me where you buy it, you know, but please support your local people, guys. I just wanted to say that. Yeah,
Thank
it's a
you for
pleasure.
saying that. And I think, to your point, just quickly on that, is that, you know, so many people will come into our bookshop and it's overwhelming. We have hundreds upon hundreds of different titles. And I always, and Danielle and whoever's in the shop at the day, will ask, you know, what are you looking for? If there's a topic or something that's interesting to you, let us know, because we can direct you because in the right place, because there are many, many books on astrology that we carry, 2 of Caroline's, but other authors as well. And everybody has their different perspective of how they teach, right?
But I'm your favorite, right?
You, of course, you're our favorite. You know,
I'm joking.
But Dalai Lama, I don't know if he's still canceled, but Dalai Lama said something like, the reason why there's so many different religions is like why there's so many different types of ice cream, because not everybody has the same flavor of ice cream. Not everybody's going to connect to vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, etc. So it's all ice cream. It's all astrology. It's all personal development and trying to be the best and most evolved versions of ourselves that we can be, and healed people.
I just want people to do it themselves.
Exactly.
I want people to, and also hopefully I've broken it down in the signs and the signs in love in ways that people can just pick up stuff. You're never going to know everything overnight, but that's part of the journey. It's like self-improvement, you know. And then with your, you know, with the signs in love, you can check out your kids, you can check out your friends, you can check out your colleagues. I'm happy that we're doing this. It's great.
Anybody that's watching that has a question as it relates to a sign combo, or maybe a more challenging aspect that you've found yourself in, you know, having this story that you keep telling yourself about signs being difficult or signs being quote unquote better than others. So like, I'll start with mine. And I'm sure this is probably a function of my Capricorn rising, but I have always done best in romantic relationships with Capricorns, no surprise, but also Taurans. So it's so funny because I always sort of gravitate to those types of people. But then, you know, other people might have experiences with Taurans being, you know, stubborn. Vinny's a Capricorn, so he keeps saying Capricorns are the best. They are great people. Of course, I always say Libras are the best, but that's okay. So if anybody has a question about, or wants more insight, any question or more insight into particular, you know, combinations of signs and what might be, you know, I want to actually tell people in the book, it's also sort of broken down into like evolved and then points of work, or how to, you know, reach nirvana. I hate when, not hate is a strong word, but I always say to people to not attach judgment to themselves when we're talking about signs or talking about different parts of self-development. It's points of work or opportunities for growth. Exactly. I don't want people to read these things and say, oh my gosh, I'm stubborn. And so, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like that. And it's a moment by moment choice. And the thing is that if something is not working for you, you can actually change it. That's why I love astrology so much, because it gives you a framework to use. And that framework is tried and tested, and it sort of holds you in a safe space. And I really love that.
I do too. I wanted to, so actually this is one of the, when we were scheduling this talk and we were sort of trying to come up with a framework for some of the questions, and excuse me, looking off screen here. I wanted to learn a little bit more about your inspiration for the book. I know you said it was really, you know, 2020 and people being afraid and needing more love. And I always think that, you know, we heal the world by healing ourselves. We do our shadow work and then we heal the world, right? But I'm wondering about being in, you know, practice and maybe counseling and working with your clients. Are there any sort of stories that stand out about relationships, either successes or points for improvement that really, you know, made you think, gee, if there was just a book out there that this would really help people? I was wondering if that maybe you have some stories about that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily really talk about my clients, but
Sure.
I can talk about, I'd like to share my friends of mine, they are, she is Gemini, and she has Jupiter in Aquarius, and he is Aquarius with Gemini rising. And they have the best relationship that I've known them for 15 years. They're from New York, actually, and they basically, they both give each other plenty of freedom. And I think that's one of the most important things for air signs. But they always come together. Now they're working together, they're having a great time, they're doing up properties and renovating them and renting them, and they're doing amazing things together. So for me, their relationship has always been really inspirational. And other friends of mine, they're both Cancerians, and they've been together for 25 years, and their relationship just grows and evolves over time, and they both work on things together. I think one of the then, some of my other friends, they are Pisces and Capricorn, and they have had to work really hard on their relationship, because Pisces is very much like hard to pin down at times if we're generalizing, and it's fun to generalize. And she is Capricorn, so she ends up doing all of the administration, all the paperwork, all the bills, but they found a happy medium now. So he grows all of the vegetables and does all his like very creative stuff, Pisces stuff. She handles the admin. They found their happy place. They've sort of reached nirvana by understanding that we both bring different things to the table, and not everyone is good at everything. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We have a question from Jane. So Jane says, my mom is a Leo. I am a Libra. We have a very difficult relationship. We love each other, but are polar opposites in every way. My sister is a Cancer, and she and my mom are well aligned. I wonder if you had any insight for her.
Sure. I think the thing is with Libra is that Libra is ruled by Venus, the goddess of beauty, love, and balance. So for you, things need to be balanced, and Leos have got to learn more about balance. They're not particularly the most balanced people. Forgive me for saying that. So I would imagine that your sister probably needs your mum a bit more. So there's a different dynamic going on there. And also because your mum is a Leo, remember that it went in someone's chart, wherever their sun is, Mercury and Venus are only ever 2 signs away. So I would imagine that your mum has a lot of planets in the sign of Cancer, so it enables them to relate better. But I would say in order to handle that relationship a little bit better, I think it's important for you to lower your expectations and try your best to just stay peaceful and harmonious and balanced. And if there is, like, for instance, I have some very dramatic friends and I love them very much, but sometimes when the phone rings, I will look at their number and I won't answer it unless I'm in the giving sort of state of mind. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think that can sometimes be the same with the relationships we have with our parents. Maybe don't always have to answer the phone unless you're in a very giving state of mind, very peaceful, centered yourself. The only thing you can do is work on your own mind. And I would recommend meditation for that. I hope that's helpful. Let us know.
I enjoyed that. And interesting because Danielle said this, Danielle's mom, also a Leo. So interesting that Libra, Leo, interchange. Yeah, very interesting there. Spot on. Yes, you're amazing. That she says she does the same thing when her phone rings as well. Thank you so much. Yeah,
you're welcome.
I think what it's so funny about not answering the phone unless you're in a giving peace of mind, a giving state of mind. I think that's also as people, all the people that are watching or all the people that will be watching this that are interested in astrology as a subject, I would then say we're all interested in sort of improving ourselves and doing some type of personal development and soul growth. And so I think something that's interesting, not only when we answer the phone to say, are we in this mind frame to be giving and centered? when we're calling somebody, I think we should also set that intention too, because lately this was gonna, I do these on my personal account, do these rants of the day. And lately, I don't know if it's because of just still coming off of COVID and us interpersonally, just our communications being a little bit wonky because we were quarantined and things got weird. But so much trauma dumping has been going on where people are just dumping their traumas on other people. I was at my brother's wedding last night, and my husband and I sat at a table with my aunt, and she proceeded to unload. Danielle and I will get in. Danielle's going to be very interested to hear this one. But my aunt unloaded trauma, I'm not even kidding, from 1973 till the present moment over the course of 45 minutes. And at the end of this, I was like flat. I was just exhausted.
It's energy drain. I think, first of all, it's really important that we have, in these circumstances, it's very important that we have compassion, number one.
Yeah.
Compassion for the person, also compassion for ourselves. Yeah. The other thing is that people are really lonely, Dina.
Yeah.
They're really lonely and they don't have people to talk to. And so sometimes if they're at a wedding, I imagine there was alcohol involved and someone's having a drink. The thing is that it's really important for you to set boundaries in that kind of environment, because she would have probably felt, and unless she's completely uninvolved and completely unaware, she would have probably felt awful the next day anyway. So it's quite important for you to say very gently to someone who is in the middle of a trauma dump, I hear you, to empathize with them, I understand, but it's I'm not sure I'm the best person to advise you right now. So would it be okay if I gave you a call on Monday and we can talk about this?
Yeah.
Do you see? Because it's really important that you don't let someone dump on you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
If I'm very straight with my friends, and it's like if things are going on too much, I'm like, okay, so we need to change the subject now.
Oh wow! And you just get right to it and say, let's change the subject.
I'm just like, okay, let's change. I mean, not everybody is going to be able to say it that way, but I'm so known for being very blunt. But I'm also my rising sign is Cancer. I'm also super compassionate, but I protect my energy ruthlessly.
I need to step into my protecting my energy ruthlessly error. I have to say I have to start to go into that because it was something.
It's because it's not, you know, it's like, you know, I have members of my family who are also like that. People are lonely, they're getting older, so they're afraid, you know, and you can comfort people, but there are also people that are way better skilled than we are. Most people are just looking for some form of love or validation. And if you have elderly people in your life, I would highly recommend that if they're evolved, to recommend a book called The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying.
I'm going to write this down.
It's the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, because it will basically enable them to die in a better way, because I believe in reincarnation. I mean, does anyone else out there believe in reincarnation?
Yeah.
So we go through this constant cycle of birth, sickness, aging, and death, and then we come back, and then we come back, and then we come back. So it's almost like, if you can learn how to die properly, we have to learn how to live properly first. But if we can learn how to die properly, then it stops us from repeating certain cycles that are unnecessary. And if you can teach someone, if they are evolved, I mean, you can't give it to someone who is not evolved on any level, because it's a really deep and profound book. But I'm just saying, it's like letting someone trauma dump on you is not okay. You're not helping them and you're not helping yourself. You could probably be a little less blunt about it than me. Because I do say, okay, we need to change the subject now. But my friends, you know, they know how I am, and they're like, okay. Or I say to someone, let's now say something nice. Or I say to a certain member of my family who is very afraid of dying, she's getting old, and she basically is very negative because she's so afraid. And I always say, okay, let's be positive now. So so it's really good to just tackle it head on, but in a very loving way.
I love Love that. We have another question from Vinny, and his question is, how does he help, or what advice can he give his Aries sister and Leo grandmother to not lose their patience with each other within 2 minutes of them having a conversation?
Okay, so you've got two fire signs that are incredibly competitive going head to head here. And the thing is that your Aries sister thinks that she's always right, and your Leo grandma, is it your Aries grandma?
Aries sister, Leo grandma.
Grandma. Mm-hmm. So they're very competitive. So it's almost like always having to have the last word. And also, I think that your sister has some Saggy in her chart. So I think your sister is quite. I could be wrong here, Vinny, and it's not I don't mean to offend people, but I'm very blunt and I don't always get everything right. But I think she's quite opinionated. So it's almost like, she would be like, well, that's not true, or that happened, or no, that didn't happen. What I would say is to your sister is, sis, how long have we actually got left with grandma? Like on the real level here, how long have we got left with her? And every time you waste time arguing with her, you're wasting precious moments that you could actually be using to love her.
Right. That's beautiful, but it's so very true. And I think so many times too, when we're impatient with each other and, just quipping on each other, a lot of that stuff, it isn't even really important stuff anyway. It's
no, and it's also, you can stop things and just say, okay. I mean, the thing is that most of us are terrified of being taken advantage of, right? So that's the reason why we react in certain ways, because of our own vulnerabilities. And a lot of the time, people are triggering wounds in us that we have got nothing to do with them. They're sort of innocent. So it's almost like, we have to stop before we get into this battle, and choose your battles wisely, because it's like it drains your chi, which is your life force. So it's almost like saying, is this important and does this matter? And you can just say, you know what, I don't agree with you, but let's just agree to disagree. However, I do love you. So let's just change the subject.
I love that. That's the best advice. All right. Alex says, any advice for a Scorpio sun with a Cancer mom and a Cancer dad? Mom and me are best friends. Dad and me, not so much.
Right. So Scorpio sun is Alex. Cancerian mum, Cancerian dad. So you get on very well with the mum, not so well with your dad. Okay, is your dad kind of reactive? Because it sounds to me like your mum is the nurturing side of Cancerian, because remember, they're both ruled by the moon. I would say that the best way to try and get through to your father is to use humor. So as long as you don't take it personally and take it to heart and take it as a mortal wound, it's almost like the best thing to do is just try and use humor with your father. Because again, like, how time is so precious. Like, how long do we have left with our parents?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, if you had only like a very small amount of time left with your father, I think you would have more patience and compassion with him. And also, I call it the dipping in and dipping out. You can give a call and just say, the caveat at the beginning, I can't stay very long, I'm just checking in. Okay, fantastic. I hope you're well. Find some common ground and try and just be compassionate, because it's like not getting on so well. I think explosive or anything else, it's just like, try and use your humor if you've got someone who is a little more reactive than the other. And sometimes dads can get a bit jealous if you've got a great relationship with your mum too. Sometimes they do. They're human beings. We think that they're these, saintly people that, worship the ground we walk on, and lots of the time they actually do. But there can sometimes be a little bit of jealousy and rivalry. Sorry to say it, low vibration, I know.
Oh boy, this is okay. I really think that's interesting advice too. I wonder your thoughts on this. Scorpios have a my menopausal brain, just words sometimes like in the middle, the word is gone.
Well, Dina.
Okay. Scorpio has a reputation, the word was reputation, of mortally being able to mortally wound others, right? So the
Yeah.
Scorpio has that stinger. So I'm wondering too if there's some type of shadow element because the Scorpio has this, reputation to wound, that it allows itself to be
Yes,
wounded so
exactly.
deeply.
Exactly. The thing about Scorpio is that that energy is so deep and so intense, and they're learning about the process of birth, death, transformation, and change from the time they're born, really. So it's like their lives are super intense. So it's like, yes, they have the ability to mortally wound someone, but they also, the shadow side is it, other people have the ability to mortally wound them because they take things really to heart.
Yes, absolutely. So think about that, Alex. Look, Alex has her sends big eyeball emojis. Yeah, that's what I think. And Alex is a very sweet, lovely young woman, and you would never see her as somebody that can wound others. But I just think that shadow side is
But you
very
know,
interesting.
Scorpio, the biggest lesson for Scorpio is to stand in their own power, because
Mhm.
sometimes they're afraid of their own power.
Mm.
So it's like you can stand in your power and still have an open heart and be loving. You just be powerful, and it's okay to be powerful.
It is okay. It is okay to be powerful.
Yeah.
So Bella, I know this circumstance, so I am really interested to hear your insight on this. Bella is one of three. Bella is the middle child. Bella is a Pisces. Her older sister is a Taurus, and her younger brother is a Gemini. And the Gemini and the sister and the brother, the Gemini and the Taurus, do not speak to each other. So she wants to know, as the Pisces, what can she do to bring them together?
Okay.
Interesting question.
Okay. So remember we were talking about Pisces and saying that.
Oh, it's the other way? You're the
Okay.
baby, Bella, or you're the middle? Who's the middle? So sister is the Gemini and brother is the Taurus. So
Okay, that's
Bella's
fine.
okay.
I've got it. Okay, so sister is Taurus, Gemini, brother, right? Okay, so it's
Other way, but it doesn't matter. Okay.
okay. So all right. So I have it anyway. So it's typical of Pisces. Remember, they want everything to be harmonious, just like
Yes.
Libra. They want everything to be balanced and harmonious, and everyone to be at one. The thing is, I say this: there's no more karmic relationship than there's no sort of more massive karmic relationship than the ones we have with our siblings, because they're with us literally from cradle to grave. So this is like a karmic situation between your brother and your sister. I would imagine that your sister, the Gemini sister, also has a lot of Taurus in her chart, because what they're doing is going head to head at the moment. And this has escalated to the point where they're both being super stubborn and refusing to accept. The only way this will sort out is basically if you can say that this is really affecting your mum.
Ooh.
So you're going to have to, manipulation in any form is not good unless your motivation is 100% sincere, because it would be affecting your parents, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely affecting mom.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying here is that just to say to them, look, because what they need to do is thrash it out, but they're both being really stubborn and passive aggressive about this. So it's almost like what needs to happen here is that you need to say, listen, mum, how much time have we got left with our parents, really? And this is really affecting mum. You're right, say to your brother. You're right, say to your sister. You're right too, but it doesn't matter. Just pretend, just for 20 minutes, just so that we can all go and see mum together. I mean, you'd have to get into the nitty gritties of the whole of their chart, but I can bet you my bottom dollar that the Gemini brother has Taurus in there. Sorry, Gemini sister has Taurus in her chart too, and they're going head to head at the moment. Let me see if I can get anything else. How to do this? How to do this? How to do this? This is really random. Invite them round to tea. Yeah, just ask them if they can just go and have food. It's to do with food. Taurus, right? And at the end of the day, if there's food involved, then it is usually be okay. And if you've got, just say that is there a mum's birthday coming up or whatever's going on, like something like that. Just say to them, listen, you're right. You don't have to speak to each other. Just be in the same room because of mum. Let's just do it for mum this once. Yeah.
I love that. Torrens and food. Yes. Beautiful.
Yes.
Why not? Breaking bread over a good meal. I love that. Anybody else have any? I cannot believe we're already close, like coming to an hour, you guys. This has been such a wonderful conversation. For those of you that are watching now, I drop an emoji. I'm gonna let Caroline pick the winner of her book as well as some of the love crystals. Wait, one more question for Donna. We gotta get Donna in there. Any advice for a Sagittarius sun with parents who are both Aries? Again, it's just very interesting. Mom and I are great, father not so much. It's so interesting. We keep getting this daughter mom, like the same sign, but the daughter's good, and then in the same sign with the dad.
So much fire.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that in a second, but I was going to say, maybe Dina, if the people get the book and read into it, maybe we can do another follow-up.
I would love to do a follow-up with you.
Because we can dig in then. When people have been reading the book, they can ask like different, deeper questions and stuff. Not that these questions haven't been deep, but maybe we can do a follow-up.
We could do a virtual little book club discussion.
I'd love to.
We can, you guys want to go ahead, get the book. I mean, from us, we would love, but
please,
please
buy it from them. Yeah.
And we would love to do this again with you. It's been so
we'll do a follow-up for sure. Maybe a little like book club or something.
Yes, we're saving the live. It will be posted to our page as well. Absolutely.
Super. Okay, so all right, let me think now. So Saggy, Sun, Mother Aries, Father Aries, gets on with Mother. Okay, that's okay. So all right, okay, so I feel like your mum is super proud of you. Like whatever it is that you're doing or whatever it is you've done, she's really proud of you. The issue with your father is not actually with you, it's with him. He's not super proud of himself. So it might come across as being very confident and maybe sometimes a little cocky, but actually he's not super proud of what he has achieved in his life, even though he comes across that he might not come across as that. This is what I'm picking up. So the key here is actually to have compassion and just say, listen, I've called it the rule of 3 and it's in the book. If you hit someone with love 3 times, they cannot escape you. Okay, got it, Donna. Okay, thank you. So if you hit someone 3 times with love, they cannot escape you. It's called the rule of 3 and it's in the book, The Signs of Love. It's basically, if you I call it like, like a boiled egg, right? You tap on it once, you don't get in. You tap on it twice, you still don't get in. But then you tap on it the 3rd time and then you're in.
Yeah.
If you hit someone with love 3 times, you usually bypass their ego by that 3rd time. Ignore what they say the 1st time. So just say to your dad, your Aries dad, Dad, sometimes you say things that are really hurtful, but I know you don't mean them. I know you love me and I love you. He will reject you 1 time. Just keep saying it in a different way. He will reject you the 2nd time, the 3rd time, you're in. He'll laugh or he'll do something differently. So it's like you have to flip the tables here and be the teacher, Donna.
I actually love that. And I cannot believe it's taken us all this time to get to the rule of 3. It's right in the beginning. So I think it's so important. Again, we're going to do a follow-up conversation that you read this book, because it's so much more about, again, it's so much more than romantic love. And it's about healing our relationships and healing our relationships with ourselves. It's Esther Perel says, the quality of our lives can be defined by the quality of our relationships. It's important to do this healing work. So, and again, we heal ourselves, we heal our relationships, we heal the world one relationship at a time.
Exactly.
So,
one at a time, for sure.
So important. So everybody that's in the live still, drop an emoji, because I'd like to give a copy of the book away, as well as we have some crystals and a little bit of Our Love oil. I feel like I just saw an orb fly past me. If anybody else saw that, just let me know if you saw that. I don't know. So drop an emoji if you're live. We'd love to give give this back. I will let Caroline pick the winner.
Do I have to do that now? How do I do that?
So I don't know if you see the comments, you see all the people sort of, you know, dropping an emoji. If you sort of
pressure,
if anybody sort of stands out to you, if you get anything channeled from them.
So is there? I feel like, is there Cancerian watching? Is there a Cancerian watching? If there's a Cancerian watching, so okay, so Cancerian, which one? Oh, this is like pressure. I'd like to give you all one. Okay, so no Cancerians watching. All right, so let me just see. Okay, all right. I'm going to write down 3 signs, then you pick a number,
there's
right?
a Cancerian. There is, Caroline. LC21 is
okay,
the Cancerian.
So you win.
Yay! Okay. All right, my dear, send us a direct message. Although we know who you are, but send us a direct message with your name and your shipping address, and we will get this out to you. Sometimes there's just like a little delay in the comments, but
thank you for having me, Dina.
Oh my goodness, this has been such a wonderful way to spend for us a Sunday afternoon.
Me
for
too.
You, a Sunday evening. I look forward to, you know, you guys will get into the details with Caroline. We'll set up a little, you know, book club recap on the Signs and Love.
Great.
It was amazing. And again, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And thank you for stocking my books as well. Support local and independent bookstores, people. Okay, have a lovely Sunday. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.